I've helped a lot of people. Not only have we helped, with our company ISG, Influence Strategies Group, but with several different people, but even before ISG, like how to create their public trust architecture. So it's basically, it's essentially reverse recruiting. And reverse recruiting is a weird world that nobody has talked about really until probably the last 12 months, where you and I have been talking about it and dealing with it for a long time. And it's just building your thought leadership position, your public trust architecture. Content Crib 6.0 will be over once everybody is listening to this, but we're going. We'll be there in a little over 7 days, so it's exciting.
Yeah, it's. I just can't believe it's already here. It's amazing. But we're not going to talk about Content Crib. We're going to talk about book writing.
Yeah, and you are writing a very cool book with a very cool title, and yeah, you know what? So the reason we talked about this before the podcast came on is a lot of different questions are out there. I would like to write a book, or people are like, how do I do this? Am I going to self-publish, and how am I going to do this, and what do you use for tools? All these different questions. So I thought, now I also finished a book this weekend, but I'm just writing at this point. So tell me your process. You finished the book, or you're in the middle of it. What did you use for tools? What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? And I think people will be really interested.
Yeah, so I started a couple years ago, like about 18 months ago, I think, exactly. And what I started to use Microsoft Word. So it was just a basic tool to start out, but then I pivoted completely to I needed a foundation digitally, so Google Docs, and started to structure it there. I mean, that's the boring side of things. Once I started to get closer to like editor ready, I decided to go in Fiverr. I use it for so many different things. So I hired an editor in Fiverr, and it went through 6 edits, and it actually just finished its 6th edit the other day. And they actually do formatting too. So they actually have it right now. It's going to take about a week worth of formatting. And honestly, I'm figuring out the rest as we go. I'm kind of just like reading through some Reddit threads on self-marketing and self-publishing, and doing kind of my own social media marketing, and just kind of like teasing it out there and getting a little bit of interest. And the book is called "You Can't Automaite Trust: The Hybrid Rep Playbook," and the rep of the future is you.
I love it. Can I ask you like some questions? You don't have to answer all these. Because I know
sure.
our audience is really is curious about this.
Sure.
Are you using an editor that's overseas? Are they in the U.S.?
They are overseas. Yeah.
Overseas. Okay, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to tell me the exact price, but like, is it super expensive?
No. It's pretty affordable. I mean, it was like a few $100s.
Oh, good.
Editing
Okay.
every time, so. And then I kind of like upgraded when I wasn't happy, and like, oh yeah, we can do this, and this, and so I just be like, it was like an extra 100 or maybe an extra 50 again.
Gotcha.
And kind of get it where I wanted to be. Yeah.
Okay. How long is usually the turnaround?
Every edit was about 3 to 4 days.
Not bad at all. Okay.
No. Not bad.
Do you suspect that they're feeding it through AI and they're doing it that way? I'm sorry, I'm asking. I'm like, I know there's a lot of granular questions.
Yeah. No. They might be. They might be for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just because what I'm asking, like, could someone do it on their own? Like, give it to ChatGPT and go, hey, can you do this, this, and this? And then my fear of doing that is will it sound like AI? That's
So I would read like random chapters every edit and just kind of see, and then they would give you a breakdown of like what they changed, or like what the edits. Every time they edit, they didn't change what I wrote. They just either were like, okay, we need to cite this statistic, or we need to, this formatting's wrong, or this story's in the wrong place, or, this chapter didn't flow as well as that chapter, so we moved it. So they weren't, changing the writing per se.
Okay, got it. Yeah, and the reason I ask these questions because I know some people want to write a book and they don't have the money to allocate to doing it, and what tools can they use? It's really funny though, because you're obviously writing your book. There are so many authors that use ghostwriters that I went down a rabbit hole of how, I guess I can say it, how many authors don't ever write their books. I mean, they have an idea about it, but then they have a ghostwriter who does it all for them from top to bottom, and it's like a lot. And I know it's kind of, maybe I'm like exposing the little secret of the industry here, but I just was really surprised. I was amazed, but it is what it is. So it's really all about the marketing. So what do you think you're going to do next? Are you going to, once it's done, self-publish?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I'm probably just going to self-publish and put, a certain amount of investment into, a certain number of paperback books and get it on Amazon and put a Kindle up there. Maybe do an audiobook. I don't know yet. People
Okay.
seem to do really well with marketing, pre-marketing their book and then like doing really good deals on like initial deals on like Kindle.
Yeah.
Just getting some exposure, getting some book reviews. But because it's not a big overhead cost, right? And you can.
Well, I was going to ask you, what do you think that's all cost? You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but what do you think cost-wise it's going to be to do it?
That's a great question. I don't know yet.
Okay.
That's the next step, and I'm working out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be very curious to see what it all. Back in the old days, you'd have to. I mean, you just wouldn't publish it. And it was so cost prohibitive to do it. But yeah, obviously Matthew Ray Scott's done a book and done two of them now, and so I was just curious what other people. And I do know that you can go down the road of having somebody market it for you, and there's big agencies that will take on all that, but it's also big bucks.
I have, I think, enough of a following to sell some copies and like get some authority out of it, and like it is mostly passion in the space and like kind of what I've learned and sharing what I've learned in it, and yeah. No, I mean, it's exciting. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like having fun and like figuring out as I go, and just kind of like making decisions here and there. I mean, Kindle cost to publish is basically zero, and then Amazon takes royalties. You earn, say you sell a Kindle for $10, you earn like $6, or $7. There are deals out there where you can do paperback where the cost to publish is like nothing up front, and then they deduct per copy sold. So there's like different ways, they can do it. I'm kind of putting the investment into the editing and like different cover designs and formatting. I had to register the title with the patent, the United States patent. You don't have to do that, but I wanted to just in case. I'm like, I put a lot of time into it, so I wanted to.
So you're getting official copywriting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I figure I'm going to put, $1,000. I budgeted like $1,500. So small.
Which is yeah. I mean, which is amazing if you really think about it. Just
yeah.
What it costs. I mean, what 20 years ago it would take to do it. Compared.
If I get some, if I get some interest and like some more steam, like I'll definitely. For sure, like maybe bump up that investment.
Well, it's just what is mind-boggling if you think about it. Well, anyway, no matter what, if you're listening right now, write a book. I mean, that's what we're trying to tell you to do, because the minute you can put best-selling author next to your name or wrote the book, da 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 da, and I'm not saying this to give you fake, pump yourself up in some kind of a weird fake way. I'm saying it's because it really legitimizes what you're doing. It gives you the authority in a space, and if you have that, that can be a game changer.
Yeah, and I kind of look at it as full time I do sales teams and train hybrid sales reps on how to be effective in the field and sell remotely and close deals and build pipeline and all that stuff. I want to share that with that team, and if I can invest a couple grand in myself to make this happen and have, something I can give them, it's just going to help me and make myself more marketable than help my team ultimately, or anyone else that needs the help. I mean, I really do think, different industries are going to be affected by AI. Obviously we're seeing it now. I think there's definitely some whitewashing going on with some companies claiming AI, but they're really just kind of tightening their books. But I do think that, sales, marketing, in-person business is going to thrive, and people that do it the right way, and then also be able to stay relevant remotely from all the things that, especially I've learned from, you and Matthew through Virtual Sales RX and implemented that over the years. There's all these different tools, and don't worry, gave you credit. It's there's so many but there's so many different strategies that people aren't implementing, and I've stood up different sales teams and been at different companies and we're around different sales leaders and companies that are just doing the same old thing, right? And I think that there's just a ton of opportunity to push yourself to use different tools and techniques and stay relevant in the years to come, because I think there's still a ton of opportunity. If I can share that gold with the people that are interested, this is the way I'm going to do it. So
it's a great way. I mean, we talk about it all the time, thought leadership. Talk about thought leadership and public trust architecture and all the different things. And when they go and Google Chris Grosse, or they go and put in a ChatGPT Chris Grosse, they're going to say award-winning author of.
Yeah, I don't know about that. We'll see. But enough about me. Tell me about you. You're working on a little project yourself.
Yeah, You inspired me, and so I've been asked several times. I've helped a lot of people. Not only have we helped, with our company ISG, Influence Strategies Group, but with several different people, but even before ISG, like how to create their public trust architecture. So it's essentially reverse recruiting, and reverse recruiting is a weird world that nobody's talked about really until probably the last 12 months, where you and I have been talking about it and dealing with it for a long time. And it's just building your thought leadership position, your public trust architecture, the point where so people know you before they meet you. And more importantly, people go to you. They recruit you instead of all of a sudden you need to have an opportunity because of whatever happened. AI takes your job or whatever you want to call it. And then you're out there and you're a recruiter. It's one of 7,000 resumes they've received in the month of February, and you're one of them, and you're expecting them to have your whole future in their hands. It's a ludicrous proposition if you really think about it. And so I wrote the book, Never Apply Again. It's all about essentially utilizing thought leadership and utilizing your public trust architecture and becoming a digital opinion leader. And so it's called Never Apply Again. And I'm firsthand example of it. I haven't applied for anything in years because I'm the idiot out in the hurricane with a rep scrubs on. I get talked about it all the time. You're the guy with the red hat on, and it just became from digital opinion leadership. Anyway, so yeah, that's amazing. I mean, it's you're going to be able to share so much because it's so true. Like there's so much opportunity out there, and you talk about it every day, and a lot of people are listening, but there's a lot of people who aren't and need the help. So it's good. I talk about it to people I know that are, asking, for help, or like, they're early in their career. I volunteer. I'm a vice president of Alumni Association for my fraternity, and they're kind of upcoming in their, or they're seniors or juniors. Look at that career. I'm like, start posting online. Like, try it once a week about the industry you want to get into. And just create some, thoughtful thought leadership, and just watch over the course of a year and see what happens. 1 out of every 20 is doing it, but there's still, there's a lot you can learn about putting your voice out there and sharing it. And there's a lot of jobs you can get, people recognizing that, Yeah. And you get the whole people, oh, well, I can't, my company doesn't let me post about, they can't, that's an excuse. You can post about sales, leadership, thoughts and principles. You can talk about, if you're an engineer, different views and viewpoints you have about certain things. You can post about all those things. And I'm going to tell you what, people are watching and people are listening. And we have people that come to Content Crib all the time that now they're in the middle of all these new kinds of opportunities. And it's just because of thought leadership, being a digital opinion leader, and wanting to provide value. And that's all it's about.
I can't wait to read it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it should be. Well, I've gone a couple different directions, and I got to do another chapter now that I thought about it, because as we were talking, I'm like, yeah, I need to add personal stories of me doing stupid stuff. So I got to do that too. Anyway,
yeah, I do it all the time. I mean, constantly. Like, oh man, put my in my notes. I'm like, gotta add that. That's why I started. And I moved from Word doc to Google Doc because I was like, I wanted to make notes live, or at least put it at the top of the document. Make sure to work in this story and this chapter and this whatnot. But so.
And so, how many edits do you think you've gone through? I mean, I'm sorry, not edits. How many like? I gotta add this here. One of those type things.
At least a few dozen. At least a few dozen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think
all right.
That's a wrap. We'll see everybody. This will probably be out in a few weeks.
All right. Can't wait. See you guys.
All right. See ya.